Oh. All right, everybody, welcome back to Black Mother Talk. I am the complete wreck.
I am Jazz the Gemini.
And we're really excited. Okay, so thank y'all for bearing with us because it was like some, technical difficulties. This is our first time going live. Like, we are giving you guys this raw and unfiltered. So thank y'all for being patient with us.
Absolutely.
But we're just really excited. Like, we really wanted to start going live because we love when you guys watch with us every week. But we want you guys to really feel like you're part of it. So, you guys can be in the chat, chatting with us, and we can see it while we're live and respond in real time. So this is like exciting. Like, look at us.
I know, right?
Okay, I feel like we're growing up out here. Yeah. But with all that to say, we have a special guest. Now, y'all know we love to have a guest. We love to talk to each other, but we love to have our guest. So I would like to invite Teresa to the stage. I feel like it's a stage now because it's like live.
Yes. Come on down, Teresa.
Right. Can everybody see Teresa? I'm sure everyone can, right? So, Teresa, tell everybody like who you are. Tell everybody where they can follow you because you guys have to make sure you follow her. So,
what's up, y'all? My name is Teresa Patterson. You can follow me on Instagram at Build with Teresa. I share inspirational messages and strategies that'll help you to fulfill your mission, the work that God created you for. And that's really what my main focus is, help you to grow through the challenges. What I'm talking about today on this podcast is just about healing from losing my son. He passed away in 2018. So I talk a lot about healing on my page as well, just from different experiences that we have that cause us to be fearful, that cause us to shrink ourselves and not really reach our full potential. So yeah, that's where my heart at, and that's what I'm all about.
And I really love that, Teresa, because I'm going to be honest. This is, an honest platform, and I'm always like, I'm just going to say it. I was nervous about doing this episode because child loss, like, it's a heavy topic, right? And it's like all of our worst nightmares and beyond our worst nightmare as mothers to experience child loss and grief. So the thing about it is, I was like, you know what? This platform is a space for all of us to come and tell our stories and tell our truth. And I was like, we have to be courageous. I mean, as moms, we're being courageous every single day. So we have to be courageous and we have to talk about the difficult topics that, we think of, but we necessarily don't want to talk about, especially in an open forum. So I really just appreciate you coming here and being willing to talk about your story and just being open. And we're just really happy to dive in. So now that I've said all that, you got something to say?
I agree with all of that, and it is a heavy topic. I was not too excited to discuss it because anybody with children, child loss, whether you've lost a child or not, is a trigger. And I'm just hoping that I can pull from your strength and get through this podcast without a whole bunch of emotions. But I'm warning y'all now, I may not. So let's go, Teresa.
So, Teresa, tell us about your experience. I'm going to let you just start it off and just tell us what you want to tell us about your experience with child loss.
Okay, so our son was born in 2017, November, and that was like life-changing for real because we weren't expecting to have a baby, so I didn't really know what to do with having a son. But once he got here, I was very excited, very thankful. I stayed at home with him while my husband went to work, and it was like he was my whole life. And so he passed away in 2018 in May. So it was the day before Mother's Day. So that was like very tragic for real because it was like we're supposed to be celebrating and all of this stuff. I had to call everybody and let him know before they could call and text me and tell me Happy Mother's Day and stuff. Had to let him know that he had passed away. So we really got used to him sleeping in the bed with us. And that was something that like the doctors told us not to do. like just to have him sleeping in the crib. But it was just more convenient how I was breastfeeding. It was easier. He would sleep longer when he was sleeping in the bed and everything. So that's what we got used to doing. But that's how he passed away though. He rolled over into the corner and between like the bed, our bed and the wall, and he suffocated in that space. So that was like boom, that's really just basically how it happened. And so like right when it happened, we moved in with my dad. Me and my husband moved in with my dad because we didn't want to stay in that apartment anymore. So it was just like I stayed in my room, just not really talking to anybody for a while. Once we had his funeral, because my husband's from Florida, so his family flew up to have the funeral. Everybody was here. Now they had never even held him alive. The first time that his brother held him was carrying his casket out of the funeral. So it was like stuff like that was just very like hurt me. It hurt all of us for real. So just like really reaching out to everybody for prayers once I was more comfortable with telling everybody that this had actually happened, because I told my close friends and family, but it would just be like when I see people out, they would be like, oh, how's the baby and stuff like that, because they didn't know. So I had to tell everybody, and I ended up making a post on social media just to tell everybody all at the same time, like, this is what happened. So please stop asking, but start praying for us. And so it was like I believe that those prayers was what really like helped me to grow and to stop focus on everything that I lost, but to focus on everything that I gained from that experience. It made me have so much more compassion for moms, so much more compassion for children, so much more just love and appreciation for the opportunity to be a mom, and just helped me to see that I can't place my whole sense of purpose in another person, not another thing, not anything that's temporary for real. Because at any point in time, like it could be gone, and then I would feel that same emptiness, and that's how I would describe how I felt at that time, really very empty, and just really like asking God to help me to continue to want to be here, because like I said, I lost my sense of even feeling like I had a reason to be alive. So like growing through that and really reaching out to other people, I have found that sense of hope. And that's really what I wanted to get on here and just to share with anybody going through something similar, whether it could be a loss of a child or just loss of anything, like your sense of purpose, to be able to seek that in something eternal rather than something that's temporary. So that's overall my experience and what I like, the overall message of what I wanted to share.
Let me just tell you, Teresa, that I have goosebumps, okay, because that just spoke to me so deep, because it's really true. It's like only a mother's strength can get you through something like that. Because, and the truth of the matter is, you just said it so perfectly, and where it really just resonates, because it's true. It's like, everything in this life is temporary, and you kind of question why, things have to happen to you, and, and that's all part of the grieving process. But what's really powerful is the fact that you're saying, you have to find purpose. Your purpose is within you, and you can't just put it into one thing. And I'm curious to see how you got to that place, because I know a lot of moms watching this are like, God bless you, but I don't know how you could ever get to that place. So what was the grieving process like for you? And then how did you get to that healing? Because, in order for you to be here today, you've had to find some sort of healing. Mm-hmm. So talk me through, like, what stages of grief did you go through? Because, they say there's 5 stages of grief. What was some of the stages that you went through?
Immediately, I was very shocked, and I was like almost like it was just very sorrow, like so much sorrow, where I just felt like I shouldn't have left them. I shouldn't have did the things that I have done. Like I'm like just very like regretful for real as well. And I got to a point where I was like, I just would sit in the house and just watch videos of him, because I felt like he was a part of me. So it was like without him, I felt like I couldn't be me. And it would be like when I would go I remember that, I don't know exactly what time this was, but me and my husband were going to like a friend's cookout or something like that. And it was like, I didn't want to get out of the car because I felt like nobody would know me. They couldn't know me because they didn't know my son. So I was like, how can I even relate with them if he's not here? Like, what am I supposed to do? So I felt like I couldn't be me. That was like like the biggest or the longest phase that I went through, where I felt like I just couldn't be myself. And just the grieving or the healing process we went through. I went to a counselor. Me and my husband both went to a counselor in Chicago that we met, and it was we went one day. It was like deliverance counselor, so she prayed over us, and she walked us through like our whole life up to this point and helped us to see life differently for real. And then I did a 6 week grief recovery program, and that was like the longest, like still going through like my whole life and helping me to understand who I was for real, because that was like the biggest thing. Like I felt like my identity was taken away from me because he was all I had. Like I wasn't doing anything else except for taking care of him and making sure that he had what he needed and doing what I had to do for me so that I could take care of him. So it was like, it wasn't about anything else but him. So it was like just learning that I can't be like that, like I can't do that, helped me to learn how to be myself regardless of the circumstances. And I just remember being so afraid of what people would say about me. And this is like something that I'm constantly going through, like learning how to be myself in different situations and different circumstances. But I think that was like the biggest like transformation, just understanding who I am, because I placed everything into my son.
So I have two questions actually that I know as a mother, probably every mother is wondering. And one is, I totally respect and understand what you're saying, that you couldn't continue ever again to weigh yourself in the body of someone else. Mm-hmm. But as a mother, we naturally make our kids our everything, everything. Like that's just natural.
So it's like our job, you know what I mean? It's like, I can't fail at this job, and if I do, how do I feel about myself?
And then once you become a mother, whether you plan to or not, you also naturally feel like that's your purpose. Once your baby was gone, I'm sure you felt a sense of purposelessness, and like, how did you get to the point where, I understand how you realized where you had to get to that point, but how did you actually get to the point where you knew you could never again put all of you into someone else? Like what did that look like? What did that feel like?
Yeah, just to extend on that, like when you went to the recovery program, was that your decision, or was someone telling you, you know what, you need to go to this recovery program, or did you come to that conclusion yourself? And was it through that program that got you to?
So it was a decision that I had made on my own to go, because I met the girl that I worked with in a class that I was doing, and she told me about it. And I was like, yeah, I definitely should sign up. And the process of me getting to that realization was over time. It was over time of me just understanding, what have I learned from this, and how can I get better out of this? How can I like get out of this place? How can I grow? And asking God, what does he want me to get out of it? Like, why did this happen? Like, why? Because I know that in Romans 8:28 says that all things are working together for our good. So it's like, okay, how can this work for my good? Because it don't feel good and it don't look good. So how can this work together for my good? So like the things that I have learned came from me seeking to understand how it can work for my good and the good of everybody else as well. So that experience was like really a faith builder. And I think that was like just me seeking to not stay where I was, not stay in that feeling of emptiness, like to like, I was determined to come out of that place. That was the biggest thing.
That's awesome.
So let me ask you too. So, with you and your husband's relationship, what did this situation, how did it affect your relationship? Did it bring you guys both closer? What was the aftermath for you guys' relationship?
Did y'all blame each other at any point?
So at first, because he passed away when he was with my husband, I was in class getting my real estate license. So I felt like immediately I was like, he was too sleepy to wake up and hear him crying because he was tired from working. That was like my automatic thought.
Yeah.
I'm like, you're working too much. Like this is why I tell you to take breaks. And I'm like, this is why I try to do all of this stuff. And that was like my initial response. And then it was like he went back to work. Like that first week, we didn't really do much. Like his family came up, and then we had our son's funeral, and then he went back to work that next week. And so I'm like, no, you're doing too much. Like you're focusing on work too much. And he was like, yeah, I gotta work because if I'm not working, then we're gonna have another problem. So I was like, okay, now we gotta figure out how to handle this. And that like left me alone, and like his I feel like everybody else could go back to their life before while Dalen was here, everybody was living their life. When he passed away, everybody took a break for a minute. We had his funeral, and then everybody went back to their regular life. But I didn't have another life to go back to for real. Right. So it was like I begged him to come home and like spend some time with me so we could like really work through this, because I felt like he was covering it up by going to work. So that experience with us making that decision to actually like work through these feelings together, that definitely brought us closer together, because I was able to understand what he was actually going through, because he blamed himself because he was with him, and I blamed him, and I blamed myself for just like for letting him sleep in the bed with us, and then for me leaving because I felt like I was supposed to take care of him. Like I don't do anything else but take care of him. This my baby. Everybody else can do their own thing because I'm going to take care of my son. And that's how I felt. And I felt like by trying to do something for myself, trying to go get a career and stuff like that, I was messing up. Like I felt like I was in error by even doing that. So that was something that I had to work through as well, so that we could like understand what's the role of the like taking care of our child as well as the work that we do.
Yeah.
And so that definitely helped us to grow closer together overall, because we were able to like, I had to study him. I had to study my husband and to understand how he even deals with stuff like this. And he's the first person that introduced me to God and reading the Bible and understanding who Jesus is and what he says about me. So it was like he just really brought that more closer together to me. Like a lot of this stuff was things that he already understood, but this was an opportunity for us to actually apply it to our lives.
Yeah.
So that was like that was something that really definitely brought us together. And we had just got married in February of that year. So it was like,
oh my goodness, but y'all just had
and then that happened. So yeah, it definitely brought us together. It took us some time to really get on the same page and not feel so like bad about it, but to look for how we can grow from it.
So a lot of you don't know, but I talked to Teresa before this, a little bit over a week ago. And I like to talk to our guests before, but I don't like to get too much information because I like to learn about them at the same time that you guys are learning about them. So I like to hear their story at the same time. But I did have the privilege of seeing Teresa's beautiful baby girl. So I want to talk about how did you get to that point to have another child, and what was that process like?
So it was like right when he passed away, people would say like yeah, you can have more kids and you can have another one, and say
Talk
people.
about that. Talk about that real quick, Teresa.
That has to hurt.
Is that because people don't know what to say in these moments? And this is why this conversation is uncomfortable. A lot of people don't like to even talk about SIDS or anything like that because it's uncomfortable because you don't know what to say. You don't want to say the wrong thing. It's kind of one of those situations that it's like nobody wants to think about. So tell people what is the right thing to say? Because I'm assuming that is the wrong thing to say.
And how did that make you feel? That kind of like just
did you correct them
or out to a puppy? Like you can replace it.
Yeah, yeah.
So when people would say stuff like that, I would like I'm a very like type of person. Anyways, when I don't really know what to say, I'm like
Yeah, yeah.
So that's how I responded. But in my mind, I'll be like, I'm not trying to hear that. Like, I'm not trying to hear that. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. But also knowing that people don't know what to say and they're trying to help, I could have that like understanding or like gratitude for them trying. So I think like the main things that people you can say to somebody that's grieving is like just let them know that you love them and that you're there for them, like however you can be, or ask them like, what do you need right now, or what can I do, or how can I help? Because I know well during that time, like people would even ask me like to tell them about how I felt, and I felt like my perspective was so negative, and it was so like it's just very bad, and I'm like, when I tell don't tell me you want me to tell you, and then when I tell you, you don't want to respond. You don't want to keep talking about it because I already know that my perspective is negative. That's why I didn't start talking to you about it. But you opened the door, and now I got all of this stuff, and now I feel like I'm pouring it onto you. But you also like you don't know what to do with it, so it's like just leave me alone. So that's how I got to a point where I'm not really talking to anybody about it. But I think like just letting people know that you love them and that you're there for them, like not the situation necessarily, because I know that it was like people cared about Dalen, but when Dalen was no longer there, people wasn't hitting us up anymore. Nobody would call, they would FaceTime to see the baby, but now that he wasn't there, nobody ain't FaceTiming no more. So it was like that's a whole nother thing. But I think just letting people know that you're there for them, for real.
And that's the thing about it too, because when it's a new baby, everybody's so excited and things like that, and then for that to happen, I think probably half of the people probably just didn't know what to say, and then the thing like you were saying, people just move on with their lives, but you can't move on because that was your life. And the other half of people, people are just so into what they're doing with their lives that they don't even have the thought to, hey, I really need to be here for this person. Right. So I think, is it safe for me to say in situations like this, ask the person, how can I be there for you? And whatever they say, just accept. So because some people might say, I don't want you to be there, just leave me alone. I need time. And then some people might say, hey, check in on me. So is it best to just ask, in this situation, how can I be there for you?
Yeah, because it'd be like different for each situation, different for each person.
Yeah. Okay.
And then so back to your beautiful baby girl that we want to hear her story and how she got here. Did you ever feel like you shouldn't try again because you didn't want your son to feel like you were trying to replace him? Or did you just tell yourself, I got to do it again because I want to prove to myself that I can take care of a baby that can live, past their first birthday?
Mm-hmm. So I definitely went through that stage where I didn't want him to feel like I was replacing him, and I didn't want to feel like I was replacing him. I just didn't want it to be like a replacement, period. So just over time, just knowing that I wanted to work up to having another baby, because we wanted to have a big family, and that was the goal. So but when that first experience happened, it was like no more. So it's like, but this
Yeah.
is actually, this is my dream. Like my dream is to have a big family. So I gotta get to that point. I gotta be okay with like this process, and I gotta be good. Like I don't want to be replacing my son with another baby. So just prayer, like that was really like that's the only thing that I could do for real. And just like focusing on moving forward.
Yeah.
We planned to have another baby, so that was like very intentional, and just giving myself that time to like not let go of my son, but to let go of the hurt, so that wasn't motivating my decisions, so that I can make
Yeah.
decisions from love and wanting to give the love that I had to another child. So that was
Yeah.
that was that transformation.
So with you having gone through most parents, one of most parents' biggest nightmares, did that affect how you slept and watched your baby? Because we all as mothers like watch our baby's chest even
Right, with
without
this
this
new baby
situation.
now.
And so when you had your daughter, did that heighten that? Did you sleep at all? Like,
And her daughter's only a couple months, right, Teresa?
She's 10
So
months.
you're probably still going through that. So yeah.
Yeah, I believe I slept really good. My husband didn't sleep that well for the first like maybe 4 or 5 months. He
Mm.
would wake up like shocked,
Yeah.
like going to get her, like looking at her, climbing over me, jumping to her, like when she was
Yeah.
good, like just like instantly, like waking up in the middle of the night multiple times, like. And so that was like the biggest thing. So that caused me to not really like to like try to like calm him down. But at the same time, by the time we did have another baby, I was on the good side for real. Like I'm like, okay, this is what to expect. I'm going to be good with this. So that was that process. But just like I try to block out the thoughts of like her not breathing. So it's like I don't think about that. I just focus on her smile and her happiness. So it's like that's the main thing, just to shift my focus from those fears of what I don't want to happen to the hopes of what I do want to happen. And that helps me to appreciate her presence.
That's so beautiful. And I just want to open this up to the chat as well. Like, if you guys have any questions for Teresa that we haven't asked, that or you have some experience that you want to share in the chat or anything like that, please feel free to put that in the chat. And while you do that, I want to, ask a true or false about grief. I think, we view grief. I think everybody views it in different ways of how you feel people should grieve and how you feel is acceptable to grieve. And I think, I want to go through this list and kind of do some true or false. And I want you guys in the chat, to put a T or an F and let me know what you think the answer is to this question. So the first one, anger is an unusual response to grief. True or false? You saying false? Okay. What do you say, Teresa?
I think that's false.
Okay. I'm looking in the chat to see what they thinking.
And while they're thinking in the chat, I just want to commend you, Teresa, because as heavy as this topic is, your outlook is what people need. Like the way you've taken this challenge and made it a triumph on your end is utterly amazing to me. Like your outlook is so profound and so beyond your years that I just want to acknowledge you, and that, like, my mind is blown.
Yes, absolutely. So the answer to that question was false.
Oh, we got some falses. Some of y'all.
Okay.
Got it right.
Y'all know what's going on. Okay, so it's not unusual for people to experience a range of emotions. This can go from denial, numbness, shock, remorse, guilt, depression, despair, loneliness, anger, and acceptance. So there's a lot of ways to grieve. And you can't tell people at what stage they should be at. When, you know, something terrible might happen, and people might be at the acceptance stage first. And so I think, you know, a lot of times we judge people based on those things, and we put how we think people should be grieving onto
or
them.
society. And like, even without the stages, because I can't sit here and say that I've gone through every stage, but I have been a judgmental person on.
I'm sure we all have. Yeah.
And it's like, we can't do that, because whatever helps that person get through what they're going through is what works and what it should be.
I feel like that's the point, is to get through. Yeah. However you need to get through, that's what you need to do. Okay, so the next one is children grieve longer than adults. True or false?
I think that's false. I think kids seemingly get over things faster, maybe.
Well, what do you think, Teresa?
I think it's false.
False. Okay.
It might be different for some kids.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry you both are wrong about that, but that is true. What? And here's what they're saying. Grieving children do not experience the same response to loss as adults and may not show their feelings as readily or openly. It is not unusual for children to express brief or occasional responses to grief, but the reality is that children have greater difficulty than adults managing emotional responses to grief and trauma. Because children grieve longer than adults, children in mourning require frequent assessment, discussion, and acknowledgement of their feelings over time.
Well, excuse me, makes sense.
Right.
Teresa, yes. Our chat, I just wanted to let you know, you're getting a lot of thanks for sharing your story. Your outlook is profound, and that they appreciate it.
Oh yeah, Teresa can't see the chat, but you know, if she watches it back, I think she'll be able to see some of the things you were saying. But yeah, like, I mean, and this is just such a good moment, because everybody needs to know that their story matters. Absolutely. And that your story, you know, like, share your story. That's like really why we do this, is because we wanted to share what we're going through, and it's just so powerful when you do share those things. And it's not only healing for you, it's healing for other people that can't find their voice yet. And it, you know, it makes you feel like I'm not alone. Thank you for sharing that with me. Like, and you know, people might not have gone through exactly what you've gone through, but they can take a piece of what you've gone through and put it into their own lives. But I know I done took about 10 things you done said today and put it into my own life. Like, girl, I'm like, I feel brand new. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like I'm about to approach my motherhood in a new way and take it to a new level. So I just really appreciate
Teresa
that.
Took us to church and therapy all in one session.
Come on now, won't he do it?
Thank you.
Let's see. I'm gonna find another good one. I ain't gonna do all these. Let's see. When it comes to death of a spouse, men and women usually grieve the same human way, not defined by gender. True or false?
False.
What do you think, Teresa? So you don't think they grieve the same way?
No.
Okay. What do you think, Teresa?
I don't think they grieve the same way either.
Okay. I'm surprised. Okay, let's see. What is Mother were saying?
What do y'all think in the
chat? What do y'all think? Well, I'll just go ahead and say that is false. You guys are both right. It says men usually take the stoic route, saving their tears for private times after the death of a spouse, while women are more openly emotional. This is what I found.
That's exactly what she was saying too.
Listen, exactly.
Yeah.
But this is what I really found profound. Listen to this. In grieving, men report feeling more tense, while women feel more depressed, especially early on in the process. After the death of a spouse, men feel that they have lost a part of themselves, while women tend to feel abandoned.
Damn.
That right there, because you know what? Like, when you think about losing your spouse, you kind of feel, you immediately think that, I'm going to feel like I lost a part of myself. But to know that that's how men feel, and then women, in a sense, we feel abandoned, I feel like that's deep.
And I have not lost my spouse. I hope I never do. But I can definitely see that being the exact way.
Yeah, when you think about it, like, yeah. So I just thought that was deep.
Teresa, you are an example of having faith in God.
Yes.
That's the goal. That's the goal.
Yes.
Teresa, you just done changed all our lives in this chat. I mean, you really have, and I just really, once again, want to just thank you for coming on to talk about this, because I feel like people talk about child loss in different ways, like your child dies from a disease or something like that. That gets a lot of public recognition. But when it comes to SIDS and things like that, I feel like it's a thing that nobody wants to talk about. You know what I mean? Like, or miscarriages and things like that. Like, I feel like it's just, don't want to talk about it, or, you know, stillbirths and things like that. Like, we kind of just keep that under the rug. And I think it's really important that we bring that to the light. And I'm so glad that you know, reached out and said, I'd be willing to share my story, because it made us, you know, be like, okay, let's do it. Because we was this morning like, we really got to do this episode. I'm so nervous to do this and things like that. And so I just thank you for making it comfortable and making this, you know, topic not taboo. Like, we need to talk about this more.
Yeah, and I think a couple of the biggest takeaways for me from you are, people always throw out the cliche, everything happens for a reason. And I do believe it does, but where you struck gold is you decided to find out what that reason was. And that's what helped you get through probably the most difficult time in your life. And I think that's so profound. And the fact that you also said that you were able to do that because through being introduced to God and the Bible by your husband, you realized you were given the tools, and now God said, let's see, can you apply them?
Yeah.
And that was deep.
Come on now.
Because a lot of us talk the talk, but we're not really walking the walk. And you, my dear, have walked.
Yes. I wanted to say, oh, you know what? Before we do wrap, I apologize if y'all might have heard my son talking about daddy. I apologize if you heard the toilets flushing. This is live. This is raw. This is unfiltered.
This is motherhood.
This is my motherhood, okay? Told my son, go upstairs, be quiet, got your chips, got your snacks, got your show. I'm recording, be quiet. Still on the steps, daddy. Like, do you not hear me recording? So I appreciate everybody for, you know, watching through that, okay? Keep stay on until you all see this mess that's happening in my life. So I really, really appreciate everybody for that. And I'm just going to check the chat one last time. Oh, someone says she is a blessing and inspiration to others who have not been able to open up or share. God bless her and her husbands. Others draw strength from her. Woo, how that made me cry. Yeah. So,
which is your purpose? You stated that's what you were here to do, to help people through, and to that shrinkage comment you made, that resonated with me deep in my spirit. Not to shrink ourselves for other people or other things, and to grow and come out of our darkest moments.
Yeah.
And use that to help someone else out of theirs as well.
Yeah.
Did you have any
last things? Yeah.
Anything you wanted to share?
I just wanted to thank y'all for real for this opportunity. Everything that y'all said, everything that everybody said in the chat too, like, that's really what I wanted to be able to do, just to share my story, to inspire everybody, like share those little things that helped me to grow, just to help everybody who listens to be able to use every experience that they grow to build them up rather than breaking them down. And that's really like what I learned from that experience, and like how I'm really like growing and learning how to push myself outside my comfort zone for real. That's what this opportunity really was for us. So I just thank y'all for allowing me to get on y'all podcast and share my story.
Teresa, you better share that story everywhere you go. You better tell it loud, tell it proud, and you are changing lives. And I hope you know that, and I hope you feel that from this, you know, episode. And I know I'll be, you know, watching this back myself a few times when I just feel like I need some gems, because what you did was drop the gems all around this place. So we really, 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 really appreciate it. And we definitely gonna have you back again because we want to hear more about your journey. We hoping you popping out these big families. You go on your own on that, sis, with this big family.
So that we all can make sure we follow you in that journey. Go ahead and let the viewers know your social media.
Again, yeah, tell us again.
So y'all can follow me on Instagram at build with Teresa, THERESA. That's my name. I share inspirational strategies and information that'll help you to discover what your personal mission is and start fulfilling it. I help you to overcome the challenges that you need to heal, so that you can use everything that you grow through to be able to help other people and become the best version of yourself, do the work that God created you to do, and just be great out here.
Come on now.
All right, girl.
That was it. Well, I'm going to put her stuff in the description box again, but y'all make sure y'all follow her, and we got to go be mommies.
Yes, Lord.
Pray for us, y'all. So